For decades, people have debated theories, suspects, witnesses, government agencies, organized crime, conspiracies, and motives, but eventually every investigation returns to the same place: the evidence. Theories can be persuasive, memories can be imperfect, opinions can change, but physical evidence remains at the center of any serious attempt to understand what happened on November 22, 1963. More than 60 years later, the evidence surrounding the assassination of President John F. Kennedy remains among the most examined collections of forensic material in history. The rifle, the bullets, the shell casings, the photographs, the medical reports, the Zapruder film, every item has been studied, analyzed, challenged, and re-examined countless times, and yet debate continues. To understand why, we must return to Dealey Plaza. Immediately after the assassination, investigators began collecting evidence. Inside the Texas School Book Depository, officers discovered a rifle on the 6th floor. Nearby, they located spent shell casings. The location attracted immediate attention. Witnesses had reported suspicious activity inside the building. The structure overlooked the motorcade route, and now a weapon had been found. The rifle was identified as a bolt-action Carcano, not the most famous rifle in history, not considered the most advanced weapon available, but functional, reliable, and capable of firing the ammunition associated with the assassination. Investigators worked quickly to determine ownership. Records eventually connected the rifle to Lee Harvey Oswald. Supporters of the official conclusion viewed this as powerful evidence. The weapon was found at the scene. It was linked to the suspect, and ballistic analysis appeared consistent with its use. To many investigators, this was a critical piece of the puzzle. But critics questioned aspects of the evidence. Some argued the rifle was too inaccurate. Others questioned whether enough time existed for one person to fire the necessary shots. Still others focused on the condition of the weapon itself. Again, the same evidence generated competing interpretations. The rifle became one of the central battlegrounds in the larger debate. Then there were the bullets. Perhaps no aspect of the case has generated more controversy. Investigators recovered bullet fragments and examined damage caused by gunfire. Their task was difficult. The shooting occurred quickly. Victims suffered multiple injuries. Physical evidence was incomplete. Yet investigators attempted to reconstruct events as accurately as possible. This effort eventually produced the single bullet theory discussed in the previous episode. According to the theory, one bullet passed through President Kennedy before striking Governor John Conley. Supporters argued the explanation matched available evidence. Critics argued it stretched credibility. The disagreement became famous and remains famous today. What is often forgotten is that forensic reconstruction is rarely perfect. Investigators work backward from evidence. They develop explanations that best fit available facts. Sometimes those explanations achieve broad agreement. Sometimes they do not. The JFK assassination belongs firmly in the second category. The evidence has never produced universal consensus. Another critical piece of evidence involved fingerprints and trace materials. Investigators searched for physical links connecting Oswald to the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Some evidence appeared supportive, other evidence generated questions. Over time, forensic standards evolved. Modern investigators often evaluate evidence differently than investigators in 1963. This reality creates an interesting challenge. Should evidence be judged according to standards of its time or according to modern expectations? Researchers continue debating the answer. Yet perhaps the most famous piece of evidence in the entire case remains the Zapruder film. Few recordings in history have received more attention. Abraham Zapruder's camera captured approximately 26 seconds of footage. Within those 26 seconds lies one of the most studied events ever filmed. For decades, researchers examined the footage frame by frame. Every movement became significant. Every reaction generated analysis. The film provided something investigators rarely possess: a visual record. People hoped it would answer every question. Instead, it created new ones. Supporters of different theories often point to the same footage while reaching entirely different conclusions. Some see confirmation of the official narrative. Others see evidence of additional shooters. Some focus on body movements. Others focus on timing. The film became both evidence and argument simultaneously, a remarkable position for any piece of footage. Medical evidence created another layer of complexity. Doctors at Parkland Hospital attempted to save President Kennedy immediately after the shooting. Their observations became important. Later, an autopsy was performed. The medical findings formed a critical part of the investigation. Yet even here, disagreement emerged. Questions about wound interpretation, questions about trajectories, questions about documentation. Over the decades, countless experts reviewed the medical evidence. Some supported official conclusions, others disagreed. The debate became extraordinarily technical. Ballistics, pathology, forensic reconstruction. Specialized disciplines suddenly entered public discussion. Ordinary citizens found themselves evaluating medical diagrams and ballistic reports. The assassination transformed millions of people into amateur investigators. Another important aspect of the evidence involves timing. How quickly were the shots fired? Could one shooter operate the rifle effectively within the available time? Investigators conducted tests. Experts attempted recreations. Results varied. Many demonstrations showed that the rifle could be operated quickly enough. Critics questioned whether those demonstrations accurately reflected real conditions. Again, the evidence generated disagreement rather than certainty. Perhaps the most important lesson from the forensic evidence is this: evidence rarely speaks for itself. People interpret evidence, investigators interpret evidence, experts interpret evidence, historians interpret evidence, and interpretation inevitably introduces debate. The JFK case contains substantial evidence, far more than many historical crimes, yet that abundance has not produced agreement. Instead, it has produced decades of competing explanations. Some researchers argue the evidence overwhelmingly supports the conclusion that Oswald acted alone. Others argue the evidence raises questions that remain unanswered. Most serious historians occupy positions somewhere between certainty and skepticism, acknowledging strengths in the official case while recognizing unresolved issues. The challenge lies in distinguishing between genuine questions and unsupported speculation. Not every mystery indicates conspiracy. Not every inconsistency indicates deception. At the same time, unresolved questions deserve honest examination. The JFK assassination remains fascinating precisely because it exists at that intersection. Evidence exists, questions remain, and certainty remains elusive. Today, modern technology continues examining old evidence. Digital enhancement, three-dimensional reconstruction, advanced forensic analysis. Researchers continue searching for new insights. Sometimes they discover them. Often they simply revisit familiar debates using modern tools. Yet despite decades of effort, one question remains larger than all the others. Who really killed President Kennedy? Was Lee Harvey Oswald solely responsible? Was there a broader conspiracy? And why has this mystery endured for so long? The final episode of the JFK Files examines those questions directly. We will review the major theories, the strongest evidence, the enduring mysteries, and the reason this case continues capturing public attention more than 60 years later. Because while evidence can reveal much, it cannot always reveal everything. In the next and final episode, we ask the question that has echoed through generations: who really killed JFK? This is Echoes of Humanity TV, youtube.com/Echoes of Humanity TV.